the world short. I'm normal size. The rest of the world's short. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the interest you've shown. I'm wearing my USS Ronald Reagan hat. I am probably the only person, I shouldn't say the only person, one of the very few people you've ever met who actually supported Ronald Reagan for president, not 3 times, 76, 80, and 84, but I supported him 4 times. When I was an undergrad at Michigan, I was one of the state chairmen of the Ronald Reagan campaign in Michigan. One minor problem in 68. Ronald Reagan didn't run in the Michigan primary in 68, and we looked a little dumb organizing the state for a man who was not a candidate. But our heart was in the right place, so we got credit for that. But what I want to stress, and something Steve Rauschenberger just said, let me remind you of just how bad this is. My wife and I have a son who lives in Austin, Texas. All of our kids live elsewhere. They say, Illinois, the taxes are too high, regulations are unreasonable, the place is too corrupt, and there's no jobs. So Tina and I were going to argue with them, but we couldn't think of what the other side of that argument was. But let me give you a comparison. Last week, the state of Texas produced more new jobs last week than Illinois, Michigan, and Ohio added together in the last 20 years. When the government talks about revenue shortfalls, I keep reminding them, government not having enough money, well, I never view that as a big problem, but still, the government not having enough money is not a problem. It is a symptom. The problem is the government has driven the private sector taxpayers out of work. If we had more taxpayers, you know what? We could generate revenue. Of course, then we could cut taxes more, would be my view, but that's a discussion for another day. But think about it. Texas in a week produces more jobs than Illinois, Michigan, and Ohio in 2 decades. And the leadership of our state can't figure out what the problem is. And I'll give you a perfect example. My opponent for president of the Cook County Board is Barack Obama's alderman. Last summer she was complaining about Obama because she thought he was too conservative, that he wasn't pushing aggressively enough for their agenda. We'll leave it at that. But the week before last, she was out campaigning to shut down the 3 largest power plants in Cook County. Now, a couple of days ago, August 11th, I was at the Puerto Rican Chamber of Commerce on the near west side of Chicago. It was 90-some degrees, and the heat index was well over 100, and ComEd, or whatever they call it now, had a brownout. In fact, they actually turned off the electricity in my neighborhood in Wilmette. They had a brownout. So here we are with a room of 100-some people in a small room with no air conditioner. Can I tell you what a cheap thrill that was with a heat index over 100? And my opponent wants to close the 3 biggest power plants in Cook County. If we can't even cover electricity now, and for any of those people who lived south and west who got flooded out, you ever seen a sump pump that didn't need electricity to run so we could get the water out of their basement? And besides, with jobs, doesn't almost any company coming to Illinois need electricity? But the solution of my opponent is to shut down the 3 biggest power plants in Cook County. And we wonder why we've lost jobs over the last 20 years. With logic like that, we might as well just fold it up and go home. I'm going to finish fairly quickly and say, when you're running for president of the Cook County Board, there are 3 issues you got to talk about. The highest sales tax in the country, tied to the most corrupt corporate personal property and residential property tax system in the country. People like Michael Madigan, the Speaker of the House, becoming multimillionaires by fixing the assessments for his clients. Guys, in the last 4 years, Michael Madigan, the Speaker of the House, the Chairman of the Democrat Party, has shifted over $1 billion of property tax assessment from his clients to the homeowners. Okay, gang, that's $1 billion that he has shifted in just 4 years and made millions of dollars a year while doing it. And he's a man of the people, defending the little guy. So when you're talking about running for president of Cook County, you got to talk about the high taxes, the corrupt taxes. All right? Then you got to talk about the fact that our regulatory agencies, to call them unreasonable would be almost being unfair. They aren't even nice enough to be unreasonable. First of all, you got to hire some politically connected law firm just to get your permit. That's absurd. Then the third one is dealing with corruption. And I promise people, day one, I'm going to fire 150 of Todd Strozier's friends and relatives, hire 12 of these. But Todd told me, by the way, Todd Strozier's a nice enough guy. He may not have been a very good president of the county board, but he's a nice enough guy. He said, Roger, that's not fair. He says, I don't have 150 relatives on the payroll. He says, I only have 111. But anyway, I'm going to fire 150 of his friends and relatives day one and hire 25 new assistant inspector generals. And I'm going to turn them loose on every contract, every file drawer, every email, everything the county's done for the last decade, and we're going to clean these guys up. Now with that, being a former senator, I could go on for hours, but I won't. I'll conclude by reminding you, I was a senator in the 70s and the 80s, when we still had people like Ronald Reagan and Jim Edgar, honest people who actually balanced budgets. I like to say I came from the era when we still had honest and competent people running the government. We have got to get back to that, because Illinois is too great a state to be destroyed by its government, which is what's happening now. But God bless you. Thank you for all you're doing. And if you live in Cook County, Roger Keats has got you need for President of the County Board. Thanks for being here.